Destination Travel, Boston. Today I'm going to share some tips for you on a trip to Boston, including activities, food, transportation, and some tips on where to stay. So let's get started. This is Graciously Gloria. So first off, where to stay? We stayed at the AC Hotel Boston, the Marriott, and that was in the downtown area. And I would say that was a great location. You could walk to some different restaurants there, like a little bakery for lunch. There was a Whole Foods really close by. And so if you want to pick up some different drinks and snacks, easy to do. I'd highly recommend that location. So a place that we stayed that I didn't quite enjoy was called the Citizen M. Now, I'm going to give a caveat here. It got a lot of good recommendations on TripAdvisor, so obviously lots of other people enjoyed it. Let me tell you why I didn't and who I think it might be best for. What I didn't like is there was not a lot of privacy in the bathroom. It was kind of like a frosted cubicle. So you're kind of like more in the open. It wasn't really like a proper door. So I didn't care for that. And as well, the bed was kind of an interesting situation. So the bed, you had to enter only from one side. So let's say, like in menopause, I have to get up in the middle of the night a lot of time to use the ladies' room. I would have had to crawl over my husband to do that to get out of the bed because there was only one way to exit the bed. Or if I was on that side, the same thing, if he would need to crawl over me if he needed to use the restroom. So I don't really particularly like that layout. I would say probably if you're traveling solo, um, just sightseeing or for business trips, then it would be a good location and you might enjoy it that way. But I did see on the review other couples and did enjoy it. So, just keep that in mind, though, some different things there, when you're making up your mind on where to stay. And some other areas that were popular are the Back Bay area and the Seaport area. So you might want to check those out too. Moving on to activities in Boston. So since it's a large city, there are so many different activities to do, and it's a historic city as well. So let's talk about some things we did and enjoyed. First off, the Museum of Fine Arts. I did enjoy that. I like to see museum, particularly when they have impressionist work there, and this one did. And there's such a different variety of artwork there to enjoy for the afternoon. So I would say give that a go. The Freedom Trail, it's very walkable. So you're going to walk, it's a red brick trail that takes you through different historic places. And there are some different like audio that you can do, a guide to kind of explain the historic places. And that might make it more interesting for you to do. Again, very walkable to see all those historic sites. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. So this one was really interesting. I would recommend either before you go to the museum, which is what we did, or after. There is a Netflix special to watch, and that special is called This Is Robbery, Biggest Art Heist. So it's kind of a really intriguing story. And came in, or perhaps a group of people came in and stole the art. They even have right now just empty picture frames where some of the art was taken, which was kind of unique. And Isabel Stewart Gardner, she was an avid art collector, and this is her private collection that she then, when she passed away, gave to use as a public area for an art museum. So that was really gracious of her, and it's beautiful, and it has a nice courtyard with some lovely flowers there, and you tour around and see all the amazing works of art. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, that Netflix special made it even more intriguing to kind of learn about that robbery and what happened and the details of them trying to solve it. So kind of interesting there. We really love that Little Italy, what they call the North End. So that has so many great pastry shops and food locations and very walkable. And when I get into food, I'll mention some different places we ate at there. The Boston Public Garden. This one's been around since 1837. So it had lovely flowers to gaze at. And depending on the season, if you're there in the warmer months, they have these swan boats that you can partake in. So that might be interesting to do while you're there as well. And it's very close to the other garden called the Boston Common. That one is actually the first public garden in the US, and it dates back to 1634. So really interesting to see the history there. We walked around the Beacon Hill area neighborhood, and it has different shops, and we also found the Cheers. Now, here's what I'm going to say about the Cheers. I thought it was fun to get a picture on the outside because it's like the iconic picture of Cheers, if you know that TV show. But then once you go inside, it doesn't look like what you remember from the TV show. So that might be a little off putting because you might be expecting that. But give it a try. We ate the food and I thought it was okay. And you can get a drink there as well, or an iced tea, whatever you want to have. And but like I said, I'm not sure how much I enjoyed the food there as much as I thought it was fun just to even visit the outside. But that Beacon Hill area is very lovely and interesting with the different architecture there of the homes as well. We went on a sunset jazz cruise. So I love to go on a little cruise to see the sights up there, especially as like a harbor or a lake or a river or different things to go on a cruise on. So we went on a cruise here. And what was unique about that is that they were playing jazz music. And one thing that we really enjoyed and was a surprise to us was there was some people who are really great at jazz. I think they work perhaps at a dance studio. They were so good. It's like we were filming what they were doing. We did get up and dance just a little bit, but they were so great. And it was just super entertaining to watch them. And plus, the jazz band itself was fun to listen to. But even if you just went on a regular cruise around the area, I think it would be nice to see the different sites there, and especially at sunset time. So give that a go. Famous Fenway Park. So I would say I'd recommend going there. A couple different ways to enjoy that is to see a baseball game. So we did that our first time to Boston. We saw a baseball game, and that was fun to be in that iconic stadium. And my husband has a goal to go to all the different iconic baseball stadiums across the United States, and he's been to several of those already. But I would say give that a go. And also, we went back to Boston another time and saw Paul McCartney. You know, he was so great. He's still performing. He still has a lot of energy for his age. So it was fun to see a concert there too. So they have other things like that throughout the year, in addition to the baseball, and a way to be able to check out that stadium. Boston Public Market. Now, this one has a variety of food to check out, some different local food. So that might be fun to stop by for a snack or for lunch. Faneuil Hall. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that word right, but this is a marketplace and it has the Quincy Market next to it. And what's interesting about this one, it's historic area and they have lots of different food options, some different shopping. And then outside there was fun street performers to watch. And I think the street performers change throughout the day. That's kind of a known area where they might frequent. So that's a fun area to stop by as well. My husband likes to find a casino. So we did go to a casino, and that was the Encore of Boston Harbor. I, of course, liked the view of that Boston Harbor area. He liked playing a few games in the casino. And so we spent a little bit of time there too. You might want to check out Newberry Street. That's an upscale street, and it has some upscale shops for either browsing or shopping there. Those are some activities in Boston. There's even some more things to do that we didn't get a chance to. I've been there 2 times and an additional other time on a work trip. So on the work trip, I didn't get to see as much, but the other 2 times we saw all those different sites that I mentioned. And like I said, there's other ideas you might want to check out, like TripAdvisor is a good place. Yelp is another one. Pinterest, people might post their different things in Boston to find some additional ideas, but I think that's plenty of ideas to get you started on a trip to Boston. Let's move on then to food to eat. Since it's a city, there is so much, but they're really known, for their seafood, and I love lobster. So I'm going to tell you, I had lobster several times and lobster several different ways, and so I'll mention that. And they're also known for their clam chowder, and so we did kind of make it a fun little thing to try out clam chowder on every menu that we saw it, and kind of rate our clam chowder, like what number do you give this one and who likes it best. And I'll kind of mention in there which one my husband liked best versus which one I liked best on some of the places we ate at. But let's first talk about some breakfast items. So we went to Flower Cafe and Bakery, and they do have several locations and lots of different baked goods and different other kind of dishes to eat for breakfast, all different kinds of different coffee drinks if you want some coffee to start your day. And so I'd recommend that, as well as the Tap Bakery. Again, several locations. There was one walkable to where we were staying at. So we had breakfast there and lots of different baked goods, again, egg dishes to start your day. What about lunch? So lots of different options for a casual lunch and some that you might need to make a reservation. So let's jump in to talk about that. Sam LaGrassa's. They're known for their sandwiches. My husband really liked his pastrami sandwich. They were on the diners, drive-ins, and dives, and they're focused there. So that's a kind of well-known spot to give it a go for a sandwich. Salty Girl. Now, this one you do want to make a reservation. I loved the ambiance there because it had pink on the walls and it was just really cute there. But not only that, the food was good. So I had lobster and waffles. So that's sweet and savory. So good. They're also known for their oysters, so all different kinds of seafood there. I would recommend, and I would say get that reservation to enjoy Salty Girls. James Hook and Company. Now this is a casual location where you're going to find lobster roll. So tasty. Now a lot of places for the lobster roll you can decide, do you like it, prefer it with mayonnaise, or do you prefer it with melted butter? I like mine usually more with mayonnaise. My husband likes his more with melted butter. So you can pick your preference. A lot of places give you those options when you're trying a lobster roll. They also had really good clam chowder as well. Just a casual place, like I mentioned, eat outside at a table. Carmelina's Italian. This is in the North End and it had homemade pasta. So yummy. We also, a different trip, we ate at Al Dente. That's another area in the North End. We had lunch there and I think I had the carbonara and that was so good. I love when they have homemade pasta. I make my own homemade pasta at home too, just for fun. And I'll have to make a video on how I make my homemade pasta. But anyways, it's really fun. It's a little bit of a process, but so I enjoy when they have it. When I go out to eat, I find the homemade pasta is like a little bit lighter of a pasta usually and enjoyable with different sauces. Quincy Market. Like I mentioned, that place was good to visit. And I think what I didn't tell you there is they had these really yummy shipyard cookies that we ate at there. And I got a lobster roll there. I got lobster, again, like I mentioned, a lot of times. I got lobster rolls, I got the lobster and waffles. Well, let's talk about what I had lobster for dinner. At dinner time, we ate at the Atlantic Fish Company. And I had some chilled lobster there with the melted butter. And I liked it that way. And my husband enjoyed some steak there. And we didn't need to make a reservation for that location. Mama Maria's. For some reason, we were trying to remember, like, is that Mama Mia's? Just because it reminds us, it's so close to Mama Mia's, but it's Mama Maria's. Again, in the North End. I got lobster again because I love it. And it's actually reasonably priced in Boston, I would say, compared to maybe some other areas because it's fresher there and more accessible, I guess. So I had a lobster ravioli. Yummy, yummy. And so I would definitely recommend that. I like the ambiance there as well. We end up actually comparing dishes to the people next to us. We kind of started chatting with them. They were so nice and kind. And they were like telling us a story about their daughter was going to get married soon. And oh my gosh, we should come along. So I mean, we didn't go show up at her wedding, but they were just so friendly. And I think this was an interesting thing to note is that you sometimes hear that people in Boston aren't as friendly, but we found people to be very friendly everywhere we went to. I would say, except for like maybe one restaurant where they weren't as friendly, I felt like, but everywhere I thought people we met in general were friendly. People at restaurants were friendly. The Uber drivers were friendly and were really informative. And I just enjoyed the people of Boston. So I, I would say give Boston a go. Don't be afraid if you've heard something about people not being friendly there. Like I said, my experience, every time I went, people were very friendly. Where else for dinner? Row 34. So But did I mention the Atlantic Fish House? That was my favorite clam chowder. But the row 34 was my husband's favorite clam chowder. So again, we were kind of comparing the clam chowders. He loved that, and he also got the oysters there. I think again, I might have gotten another lobster roll there. I think I have lobster roll several times, and I kind of was doing my own like which lobster roll is best kind of thing on my trips there. So that I would recommend. I believe we also made a reservation to go there. The Boston Burger, this one is by Fenway. So really walkable to eat there and go to Fenway. I'd say the burger was tasty. Another thing we were noticing, the person near us had a really fun shake. So we wanted to partake in that too. And we got a fun shake as well, like big and yummy. And there's a s'mores one and all kinds of different concoctions there. And I would say, give that a go and just have a little dessert, have a shake. Even if you can't finish it, it was fun to have. So that was Boston Burger. The Boston Sail Loft, and I don't know if maybe we went there on an off night. That one, wasn't our favorite, but I think that is kind of a well-known spot. And I felt like when I was reading it, did get better reviews. So again, I'm not going to say, don't go there because maybe we were just there on an off night. Like I said, it just wasn't our favorite place amongst the other places we ate at. I had another list of ideas of even more places to eat at, but of course, you only have so much time depending on how long your trip is, and I didn't get to go to all the places. But overall, I would say the food I had in Boston, I did enjoy, and my husband as well. And we both were like, let's go back again and eat all the yummy things there. What about like some drinks or some different kind of snacks? So my husband really likes to go to a brewery wherever we are. And I am not particularly like a big beer drinker. I might like a cider or a glass of wine or a fun cocktail. But he likes to go to a brewery. And like a lot of breweries these days do have, they will serve like perhaps like a cider or a glass of wine, or, I just drink water. They don't have those kinds of things. But anyways, I might try like a stout. But anyways, back to the breweries. We went to one called Trillium Brewery in the area called Fort Point. And that had a nice outdoor area. And when we went, it was a little bit not super warm, but not cold either. So we sat outside. And again, people were friendly out there. I got talking to someone near me and asking them about their drinking, whatever. Found out they were also originally from California. So that was kind of fun to chat. And then I told my husband, well, why don't we check out a cider place? And I like cider, so we went to the Down East Cider, and because I've had that kind of cider before, and I like the blackberry one. I think is my favorite one. Anyway, so we went there, and that was good too. As far as different yummy treats, let's talk about that. Pastries, Italian pastries. So a couple different ones are very well known. There's modern pastry and mice pastry. And so we decided, well, really go to both of them and kind of compare and do your own little like comparison. But we decided to check out the modern pastry, and that is cash only. So have some cash. I know I particularly don't really carry cash as much anymore these days, but get out some cash to check it out because they have really yummy cannolis and lots of different fun cookies, like a black and white cookie, a whoopie pie, and all kinds of fun treats. And we just got a big old box, more than we could ever really eat, because we just wanted to give it a try and try so many different things. And so that was fun. And that expect, to have a wait in line to get in because it's very popular, but definitely worth the wait, I would say. Moving on to transportation. So I found Boston to be a very walkable city. Sometimes, let's say you're in a farther area, you might take like an Uber to get to a certain neighborhood, let's say, but then once you're there, very walkable and felt very safe walking around where we were. And the other thing is, again, like an Uber, we would take an Uber places. Now, you might rent a car. The reason why we decided not to is we didn't want to hassle with like parking, and city driving can sometimes be very hectic. And I would say, being even like a passenger in the Uber, I was like, whoa, these drivers a little bit like aggressive, even more so than like a California. So I don't know. I didn't really want to be the driver there necessarily, and I was happy to let the Uber driver, who knows those streets really well, take over that role, and I could be a passenger, and they would take me from point A to B. And I like Uber because you know ahead of time, or Lyft, you could give Lyft to go to ahead of time how much you're going to pay, and then you just add the tip to that. So I would recommend Uber to you. We also did take the public transportation that is called the MBTA, aka the T is what they call it there. And we did take the subway to get to Fenway. So felt safe on that as well when we went. So that's another option for you, the public transportation. I hope you got some fun tips to plan a trip to Boston. If you've been and there's something that I didn't mention, put that in the comments below. Or if you had a chance to go at some point, let me know your plans. And I'm glad that you took the time today to listen to this. And please consider subscribing. This is Graciously Gloria, and happy travels to you.